And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek on air here on Google Plus. This is our, what is this, our 10th, 11th show? Isn't that
11th show.
something like that? Yeah. So thanks for joining us. This is the spot where we talk all about mobile development using the Corona SDK. So thanks for joining us here every Monday at 2 p.m. Central to discuss things. So in the studio here, I've got Dr. Brian Burton. Hey, Brian.
Hello.
And I've also in the middle there got Christopher Ward.
Hello.
And I, of course, myself am Charles McKeever. We are all Corona fanatics. So let's get on into some discussion today. We've got some build notes, I guess, to go, right? What's going on today, Toff? Take us through what we're going to talk about.
Sure. All right. As usual, we've got our latest build notes because we always kind of walk through those. We've got some zombie marketing. I just had to bring that up because it was pretty cool. A little bit about dual enrollment course. Some blog highlights about landscapes, orientation, and sprite sheets. And then again, we talk a little bit more about sprites and grew. I like that. It's spelled differently, but it just works. We've got some device news coming out. iPad mini, Xbox, Surface, waiting for the Surface to surface. And then we've got API about Flurry Analytics. So you want to kick us off with the latest build?
Absolutely. Does anybody remember where we left off last time? I mean, it's been a while since we've been through this.
Yeah, we didn't get to really talk about it last week since we had David Rangel on and that great marketing discussion. Mainly the big update that I saw to our build notes is that they have a fix in for the Game Center landscape mode. There was a problem a few weeks ago where you could only show the Game Center in portrait. Now you can show it in landscape, and they've got it fixed for iOS and backwards compatible for, they've got it fixed for iOS 6, and it is backwards compatible for previous versions of iOS as well for the Game Center. So
Okay.
the Corona Magic coders are well at work doing their magic. So,
And that's as of
got some great new tools out there.
it's as of build
That was
930.
9:30. Yeah, 9:30, and now I think they're at 9:32. I think I read.
Yeah. Well,
So just some minor tweaks,
Yeah.
even beyond that.
yeah. I think they're. I just pulled it up, so it may have changed, but their current is 935. And there is a blog post out there, so let's go ahead and just mention that now. There is a blog post out there on the Corona Labs blog that talks about this. It's iOS 6 Game Center and Landscape Orientation. So if you want to Google that now, or we'll put that in the show notes later so you can reference it. But that Walter did a write-up on that and talked about it, gave some code examples and stuff. So
You should wait until after we're done broadcasting to go see that. You should pay attention to what we're saying.
oh yes, very good point. Yes, says the professor. Put your mobile devices away and pay attention.
That's right. Pay attention to us.
You get that a lot in your classes, your mobile classes.
Well, I teach mobile app development, so it's kind of I would feel very hypocritical if I were to say put that mobile device away, pay attention. And generally, the students that are in my classes are developing for the mobile devices, so they're actually usually looking things up that I'm actually talking about as we're going through the class. So
At least you think
yeah,
so.
I try not to be too much of a. I
Ooh,
think so.
you should
Yes.
text them
I
during
don't know. They
class.
may be playing Angry Birds.
That's hilarious. Yeah, it would be extremely hard to tell them not to have their mobile devices out. Okay, so that's the
Yeah.
that's the bit.
Occasionally, I get a yes, and then I know they're not paying attention.
You don't think that's you?
I don't think that's me. I might be good, but I'm not that good.
So is that the really big one? I know there's a bunch of bug fixes. I know I saw some stuff here from Android, web pop-ups, web views, things like that. But is that that's the general, right?
That was the big one I think that affects the most people is that Game Center landscape issue.
Okay. So yeah, if you're interested in that, which you should be, then go over to coronalabs.com and check that out, and we'll put a link in the show notes to that as well. So what else do we have? What's zombie marketing? Let's talk all about zombie marketing. That sounds like fun.
I had fun, and here, let me just share out my screen real quick because I ran across this on the actual Corona Labs site, and there we go.
Oh, cool.
Okay. I ran across this on the mobile app site, and obviously, ever since I saw the red versus blue video, I'm big on the whole "What is your zombie plan?" It was awesome. I mean, that was the best forward anybody ever did. So I always ask that, "What's your zombie plan?" Because it's really not a question anybody expects. Well, this one kind of catered to that question with a survival simulator. It's text-based game. So you're not actually like jumping and running with, your character or whatever. It's text-based. And the guy who did it, like I said, I was just really impressed with, how he marketed this. You really got, obviously here's Corona. They like him. He's got a whole Facebook page that he's talking about, his game. Before it was launched, what he's doing, zombie this, zombie that. I mean, he's at Comic-Con. The guy's an artist. He's actually not a programmer. And he says that in his blog when he starts talking about, actually, that's not his blog, it's Twitter. He's everywhere. But he's got Facebook. He's got Twitter. He's got his own blog that he's talking about, the app, what he does, how he came across it, what he did to get there. Because, I mean, this is essentially before it ever launched. He's talking all of this stuff. And this goes back to what David Rengel was talking about, where you can't really think of your marketing when you're done. You really need to start doing some of the pre-launch stuff. And I was really impressed that this guy was thinking about this the whole way through.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I also go back to his go back to the app site. Where's the app site?
There it is.
I like the blood splatter on the Facebook. That's
Oh yeah, the custom Facebook and Twitter icon.
that's a nice touch.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing there that I think, I mean, is his blog and his website separate? The app site?
Yeah, the app site seems to be like zdaynow.com or w.zdaynow.com, but his blog, he's actually got it on Blogspot.
Yeah.
So evidently he's been doing this for blogging for a while,
Okay.
but he's talking about the game and such.
Huh. Yeah.
And it's on Twitter.
I'd like to see his blog on his his game blog on his game site. I mean that would be the.
Well, he's actually got that too. I mean,
does he?
essentially, you've got him as an author. If you come over here to that's him as an author talking about developing the game, and then on the actual site, you've got
A blog.
a blog.
Okay.
So he's talking about his site on the site or his blog on the site. So I mean, it's really impressive. He even has a Kickstarter project for like $3,000 for the part 2 of this because he wants to do a new game based upon the old game. And he did a Kickstarter project to try to raise $3,000, and he says for promotions. So he's not even asking for money for himself or the programmers. He just wants to promote the thing more. So I liked his strategy. I liked what he did. I liked, obviously he does good artwork. So I have the game. I have not bought it. I had to go figure out how to pull it off of my son's iPod first because my son did the Wi-Fi automatic syncing and Dad didn't know about that. So we had to go, pull the zombie game off of the 7-year-old's box real quick.
Now, so he's doing a Kickstarter campaign just for marketing purposes, to get money for marketing purposes.
Right. I mean, I'm trying to think of where the sentence is, but he's talking about, here's an example of what it's going to look like too. And I loved his levels. If you do like $40 or more, you can send him a picture and he'll actually put your picture in the game.
How funny.
I know, it was pretty impressive. It was like, okay, I kind of like that. I mean, just the whole idea of, here we go. Here's the guy's face, and here's what he's going to be in the game. It's kind of neat. I mean,
yeah.
Now, granted, he's an artist. He's a comic book artist, it looks like, so he's obviously very good at what he does. But I thought it was really neat that this is not a programmer who did this. The guy had the idea, and he came up with everything, and he's very proud to use Corona. I mean, he's got developed with Corona, and it's pretty neat the way he does all this stuff. So,
well,
I
I liked what you mentioned earlier was that he's using Kickstarter as a way to market to get marketing dollars for later on. So he's marketing now and he's going to be marketing later.
Well, you're marketing in order to get money for marketing. I loved it. I mean, that right there is what sold the story to me because it was like, okay, this is cool. I mean, he's got Kickstarter going to make marketing dollars, so it's this really cool loop.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's a great example. Yeah, and yeah, we want to find more examples like that of people who are indie solo developers who are out there and have started doing the blog before, who have the Facebook page, who have the graphics that are all unified across everything, and so that's a great example. So if you've got something like that and you want to share that with us, be sure to look us up on Facebook or on Google Plus, here on Google Plus. Leave us a comment below and let us know. Very cool. I want to go back. I want to step back just a second here for our Corona announcements. I think I jumped to the zombie thing, but David or Brian, anybody out there, don't you have some kind of announcement?
Yes, I do. And actually, the order of the show is perfect because what Toff was just talking about, the fact that this guy's an artist making apps. There's a huge demand for that. There's a huge interest in that. And this spring, I'm going to be teaching a college course that is going to be 100% online based upon Corona for people who have never programmed before. This class assumes zero programming experience, that you're ready to make an app, you got an idea for an app, but you want to learn how to do the basics for what's involved in making that app. So I'm deep in writing a new textbook that assumes zero programming background that will lead you from complete new to this to developing and making your own apps utilizing Corona. This course is going to be taught as a college level course. It's a freshman level course actually, and we're also offering it as a dual enrollment. So students that are in high school who want to take it for college credit and high school credit can do that. And I think we'll have a link in our show notes if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that. But that's going to be this spring. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm capping the class right now at 50 students. So we got plenty of room, and should be a very exciting time.
Okay, so you don't necessarily have to. Do you have to be in? Can anybody take the course?
Anybody can sign up for the course. The dual enroll high school students are getting a special price, but anybody can sign up for taking the course, audit the course, whatever you want to do. You can do that.
Okay, excellent.
How about elementary school? Because my son came to me yesterday and said he wanted to learn more Algebra. The mathematics where there's no sneezing involved. Loved it. X minus sneezing equals Y over 2 minus... Yeah, I enjoyed that one.
It is the speed of the sneeze.
Exactly. So like I said, he's totally on board for mobile app.
You could sign up to audit the class to get high school and college credit for it. You probably need to be in high school.
That blows it out for me. I'm done. Well, very cool. Yeah, we'll definitely have a link to that.
And we do have a requirement that if you're a high school student that you're at least in taking Algebra 2. So there is some prerequisites, but not a real high prerequisite.
Above Algebra.
It's been a long time since I did Algebra 2, so.
Well, we're not actually doing math in class. We just had to set some kind of prerequisite for the high school level students.
Now, will you be putting together an app? Will there be an app project?
Oh, I expect students to complete their own apps by the end of the class. Okay. So you'll be receiving help as we go through to make your own app and get it ready to publish to the store.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I've noticed. I've been monitoring the Corona forums, and I've seen in the past few days a couple of questions come through. People asking workflow questions. How do I get started? Not necessarily the technical end of things, the programming end of things, but how should I? What workflow should I use in order to put my thoughts together, or build out pieces of this application as opposed to specific code questions. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I don't know of any particular material out there, in the wild that talks about that.
Well, there's the standard. Yeah, we've got the standard life cycle on what a normal programming project goes through, and you start with concept and design considerations, and then move on to that. And don't you have an app? Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a week or two, about an app that allows us to design apps.
Yeah. I've got an app that I downloaded last night, as a matter of fact, and I'll just tease it a little bit here. It's called Interface. And
tease a little bit for us.
Yeah, and it's an iPhone or iPad app. You can get it on either one, and it allows you to basically to prototype your app on your device and use it live, on the device, and then you pretty much get the opportunity to get the feel, the flow of everything, interacting with the device itself, and find out where the holes are. And the reason I'm not going to show it today is because I downloaded it last night, was laying in bed with an idea in my head, and I went and prototyped the whole thing. And so basically I've got an app prototyped out that I'm going to develop and publish to the App Store. So it's one of those where it worked so well that I actually, the example that I was going to use for today's show is something that I don't want to show yet. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So so
you can show us after you get it published.
yeah. I'll do another simple example and show it here on the show. But yeah, once we get the other one published, I'll show that then. But there is an iPad version of it. What they call the Interface HD, and it allows you to do the same thing. Now, I'm sure that again, this is kind of prototyping, so I'm sure based on the complexity of the app that you want to put together, you may or may not get certain features to work in the prototyping tool. You just have to put a to-do item in it. But for the most part, I found it extremely helpful. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. But I'll do a full on review of that later on. Let's talk about blog Corona highlights here. There is on the blog, like we said earlier, there is a blog post about the iOS 6 Game Center and landscape orientation from Walter. So go check that out. That's definitely a good piece to cover. And then also they had a write-up on dynamically optimized sprite sheets. Did you guys get a chance to read this thing? It was on the 9th.
That was an excellent article. What this guy's been able to do for dynamically optimizing, that is just simply amazing. I wish I had thought of that.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, just to give it a kind of overview so people know what we're talking about. Your sprite sheet is made up of a series of images that basically you programmatically flip through in order to generate an animation. And if you want to have, let's say, your character to have different color clothing. Oh, there we go. Toff's got it up on the screen. If you want it to have different color clothing or something like that, then you've got to create a sprite sheet for each one of those situations. Well, this guy figured out that he could essentially chop up all the body parts of his character, put that into a sprite sheet, and then I think he applied a color to all of that, right? He does some sort of overlay where he applies the color on the fly. So I guess you could think of it as a monochromatic sprite sheet with a bunch of body parts, and then he applies the color on the fly, and I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah. So it apparently, I mean, I haven't walked through the example to see it in action, but from the write-up, you have an animated item composed of all these different parts.
Yeah, and he gives the code on how to do it too. I mean, it's not just, hey, here's an idea. Here it is a complete. Here's how to do it.
Yeah.
And really shows off what the power of Corona is capable of doing for creating sprites. And think about how much time that's going to save for your animator or your graphics person on being able to create sprite sheets that are that detailed that quickly.
Yeah,
that's a huge time saving to just.
I would think it would take a certain amount of planning, right? I mean that's certainly some forethought. Yes. But yeah, so we'll put a link to that in the show notes because I thought that was definitely worth highlighting as something that might be of interest to people, because he also, I think in that whole thing, he's able, I mean, if you're not including multiple assets into your project, you're also reducing the size of it, right?
Dramatically, yes. The fact that originally he had, 225K dedicated to just one sprite element, one color of his sprite element. He was planning on 4 different ones, so you're looking at over a meg of storage capacity just for those 4 different sprite animations, and he knocked it down to, what was the final amount, 9K?
Yeah,
that's
something like that
for all 4.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, the amount of memory savings is just okay.
No, 12K. Oh man. Oh.
So yeah, 12K. It's 3K off. Oh. Hey, that'll fit on a floppy disk.
That'll fit on a 512.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So yeah, very cool. And I mean, there was even a part there where I think he even chops off the toes and stuff. He's got like the feet and the toes are separate, which I thought was kind of gruesome and kind of cool. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. Definitely go check that out. And if you're doing anything cool like that, let us know. We would definitely be interested in hearing about it. All right, what's our next topic? What are we on here? We've got we'll jump back to app reviews since we're talking about sprites.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Let me pull this up.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to talk about
a cool little isometric app that came across called Grew, and this is in isometric layout, just like if you've played the original Warcraft or Command and Conquer, StarCraft, the original games that were all in 2.5D or isometric. Grew is done in the same way. It's an isometric game, and your goal is to navigate Grew through the environment, get through these squares that are there that are blocking your passage, and Grew is able to change into the right color to be able to destroy these locks that are keeping the door locked and be able to move through and find the treasure inside the game. So it's a great little game, definitely for children, or well, I don't know. I found it very enjoyable, but I guess I'm still a child at heart. So it nice little app. They have it as a free version and as a paid version with ad-free, has more challenging rooms, things like that to move through. It's a fun little game, but it is all done in 2.5D, done with sprites, and really shows off what can be done with Corona in that environment.
Okay, good. Yeah. We had talked about this before. I think trying to find examples of developers who were doing this with Corona. So that's a good one. Yeah, I wonder how. I'd be interested to. I mean, if we could come across any code examples, I'd be interested in how the people are doing that, just to see how that works.
Well, I believe they're all using Lime. I think they're all using Lime and Tiled to do this project, or projects like this. Lime is done by Graham Ransom in the UK, and if you go to the website, just add Lime. That's just add li.me. He's got lots of code tutorials and how to build isometric or top-down or side-scroller type games with Corona. I think most of Graham's time is being spent on making his own games now rather than adding more and more to Lime, but it is a great tool, and I actually used Lime in chapter 16 of my book when I'm doing a top-down tower defense style game. So
is that the
great resource?
Is that the new book,
and
or is
very
that
reasonably priced?
Is that your new book, or is that
That's the old book.
the old book?
I am working. I'm working on a new textbook that's for the non-programmer. The last book that I produced, the Beginning Mobile App Development, it assumes that you have some programming experience, and the example is in that book.
And when we say old book, we mean how old? Like years?
Oh, 6 months.
That's internet time.
In the old book.
That's internet time.
Back in my
the
day.
old book. Let's phrase it as my first book.
There we go. That's much better. The first book. The first of many. Yeah. So okay. So you've got Lime up there. Lime. Was that just add li.me? Okay. Yep. Okay. So yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that before. And you say that you think there's some tutorials there? Oh yeah. Look at that.
There's tons of tutorials there.
Awesome. Cool. Check that out.
He's got video tutorials. He's got text tutorials. Does a really nice job on the whole thing, and makes great use of sprites. So
okay.
It utilizes Tiled, which is a free tile
open source
mapping tool that you can download from the internet, and it's a great resource.
Okay. Yeah, go check that out. And we'll put links.
I wouldn't hesitate to spend my 20 pounds on that.
20 pounds on it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll put a link to that in the show notes for sure. That's a great resource. I'm going to go through those tutorials.
In the U.S., that'd be about $36, so it's
yeah,
well worth the money, though.
Still, yeah, exactly. All the time saving. I mean, you have to ask yourself, how much is your time worth, right? Doing these types of things.
That's in a developer time frame, that's less than an hour, and this will definitely save you more than an hour's worth of time, considering you would need to make your own basic Lime engine to be able to handle all the physics and things that Lime does for you.
Okay. Here's a selling point right here: no yearly licenses. I know a lot of people who have gone to that where you have to do that yearly. You have to keep paying.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, and that's a top.
This is a one-time payment.
And that's a topic that we need to talk about, not necessarily today, but I think we need to bring that up and have a whole discussion about it at some point. Is this idea that the one-time sale, a lot of discussions out there right now about developers. You make the app, the person buys the app, and then they get free updates for life. And it's kind of like, well, wait a minute, that only scales so
until version 2 comes out.
maybe so. Well, not necessarily on the App Store though. So because you get the next version, right? And there's no. So anyway, yeah. So there's right. the one-time purchase, the in-app purchase, and the recurring, the recurring model, or even the, like you just said, the upgrade model when version 2 comes out. So anyway, we need to talk about that at some point, I think.
Are you going to follow the Microsoft model or the App Store model?
Or some hybrid in between. I mean, because it works great for the App Store thing works great from a consumer's perspective, but the developer's got to eat. So
yes, we get hungry too.
Yes. So yeah, I think we should have
we'll code for food.
Right. Yeah, I think we should dedicate a whole show to talking about that. That would be interesting.
Definitely.
I think so.
So let's talk about
maybe over Thanksgiving.
Why Thanksgiving?
Eating.
Oh, because eating? Because we have to eat? Oh, okay.
Eating.
I got it.
I know you did.
I don't know. I always get that response in my classes too, so maybe it's just me.
I know. I'm just particularly thick about those types of things. So let me pull up my thing here. I've got Sprite something here. I want to show. I got to share screen and go to a screen. Oh, forgive me for a second here. We're gonna do an app review. That's where we're going. If I didn't tell you that already. What do you got there? Yeah, that's good. Let's just do that. Let's do that. I've got the. I actually have the app installed, but we can do it this way. So I came across this. I came across this app called Sprite something, and it's not a new app. It's been out for a while. But again, it's a mobile tool. I'm kind of drawn to this whole concept of developed on the device, programmed on the device, used on the device. I really like that, and I think that's kind of where everything's going or could be headed. There may be some restrictions that need to be let up by Apple, but anyway, I came across this app called Sprite. Something that allows you to create sprite sheets. You can create individual sprites. You can create entire sprite sheets. You can create create an animated version of your stuff. So if you want to have a GIF or something like that, or some little movie that you can export, and everything happens right there on the device. And it works either on the iPad or the iPhone. So it's a universal app, which I think is pretty cool. I mean, for your dollars, being able to download it once and have it in both places is kind of cool. But yeah, I've gone through and created some pretty rudimentary graphics, and been being able to tile those out, because we were talking about this earlier with the creating a tiled map. You can go in and create your sprite, and then Sprite something will actually take it and tile that for you to create a tiled map that you can export and use. And so I thought that was pretty interesting. And overall, it's pretty intuitive. It's got onion skinning in it, so that you can see from one frame to the next what's going on. So if you want to kind of look at what you did in the previous frame and then move the animation ahead one step at a time, you can. And then from there, it connects to Dropbox. So if you want to export your stuff to Dropbox, you can, or you can email it to yourself, or you can export it to your camera roll so that you can get it off through iTunes and that sort of thing. But the developer's got some videos over on his website, which is there, terriblegames.com, which I think is a kind of a cool name for a website. But anyway, so he's got some good videos over there that demonstrates how the thing works, and the documentation is incredible. So for the most part, I would say it's a thumbs up. I haven't used it for a game, to develop a game yet, so I can't speak towards that. But it's definitely, as far as a prototyping device, kind of gets your thoughts out of your head and onto digital paper. It's a pretty useful tool, I'd say.
Well, and this is really cool because we're starting to slowly see the iPad and iPhone being content creation devices, not just simply content consumption. And that was concerned by a lot of, I guess, academics or theorists, that it was purely for consumption. But I'm really excited that we're now starting to see more and more tools for creating something on our iPads or our iPhones, and being able to create content.
Yeah, I think it's, and this kind of bleeds into our next topic. So let's just go ahead and kind of jump into our next topic and carry this conversation over. And that's basically the fact that the iPad Mini is supposed to be announced tomorrow. And on the heels of that is going to be Windows.
Theoretically.
Theoretically, yeah. Nobody. It's all speculation and rumor. I mean, they've been very tight-lipped. It may be nothing. It may be nothing at all.
They're just having a party, invited a bunch of people over to distract them from Microsoft.
Right. Hey, it could be. I don't know. I mean, normally
it could be.
Normally with these kind of launches, there's a lot of buzz, a lot of fervor, and then the news organizations pick it up and stuff like that. And so far, it's still been kind of relegated to the rumor sites. I know even this morning I woke up, and every morning I listen to the Wall Street Journal on my iPhone using the Stitcher app, and this morning there was nothing. There was not even a whisper that they were having this event tomorrow, and I was like, kind of interesting. So
wow.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's because they're just afraid they don't know what it's actually going to be announced or what. But so anyway, so that's supposed to be announced, maybe, possibly. Windows 8 is definitely supposed to come out on the 26th, and so I posted.
Yeah, the Surface is now on sale on their website.
Yeah, and you can go.
You can see the Surface for sale.
Yeah. So I think you're pre-ordering, right? Is that the way it is?
Yeah.
So
for shipping on the 26th.
Yeah, which makes sense, but So I don't know. There's been a lot of talk as to whether or not people are going to be able to make the leap to Windows 8, and because the UI is different for the most part. It uses the tiled, almost like your Xbox. I mean, it's very much like an Xbox. My son would be right at home with it, but you know, our next door neighbor who hasn't used a computer in 10 years probably wouldn't. You know, that sort of thing. So it's got these tiles. You can tap one of those tiles, go back to the desktop, and you get your normal Windows sort of interface and things like that. But there's a bunch of changes that have come into this device that may cause some people to pause. You know, they may have some retraining issues going on. So Microsoft's got some hurdles to jump. But one of the things that I think that they're trying to capitalize on is this idea that, just like we just talked about a minute ago, the iPad is really a computer. It's relegated to this tablet form factor because you can't add a mouse to it, but it's really a computer. And I think that's the space that Microsoft's trying to hit with Surface, is that people, given the chance, I think people would use their iPad as a computer.
Yes. And, you can install Pages on your iPad and be able to take notes and hook a Bluetooth keyboard to it. I've got that set up for my iPad, and that's what I take to meetings. I don't lug my laptop in. I take my iPad. So, the devices are there. And I think it's real important, too, that we distinguish that we're talking about multiple products here when we're talking about Microsoft Windows 8. You've got Microsoft's Surface that will have Windows 8 RT on it, that is icon driven. It's going to be touch driven. You can buy the keyboard with it, and they're really marketing this as the next evolutionary step of the laptop, which makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And it's going to have Microsoft Office available for it, the full shebang. But they're also marketing the operating system Windows 8 for your PC. And that's where I think they're going to have a hard time, in my opinion, getting people to switch over to a new interface.
I've
got Windows 7 on my system.
Yeah, the tablet crowd.
I'm happy with it.
The tablet crowd, though, the Surface crowd probably is not going to. I mean, they're not going to blink. But the desktop crowd,
it's no big deal.
Yeah, the desktop/laptop crowd, they're probably going to be confused.
Right. Well, we didn't go for Vista. It didn't happen. True. And there's still an awful lot of people out there that are using Windows XP. So until I have an actual reason why I need to upgrade to Windows 8, I'm not going to upgrade to Windows 8. Why spend the money? Windows 7's working great for me. They haven't convinced me of a need to go to Windows 8.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I agree. I totally agree.
Now, the Surface?
It's cool, yeah. I went to Best Buy, which I haven't been in Best Buy in forever and a day, and I was looking at these things, and actually you can get I saw Windows 8 on an Asus device, which was a tablet that was really thin, really streamlined, vibrant screen, and so. And they had 3 different models there, and the one that was that had Windows on it was like $599 or something like that, and the one that had Android on it was like $399 or something. So
wow.
So there was a cost difference, in terms of that. But my point there is that that Asus was making this tablet that was running Windows 8, and it didn't necessarily have to be a Surface, a Surface tablet,
right.
Microsoft tablet. But I think that, and you can jailbreak the iPad, okay, and you can put a mouse on the iPad. It's I've jailbroken my devices before, and quite honestly, it's a pain just trying to keep up with. Yeah, I know it. Yeah,
don't admit that.
Don't admit it.
I'm going to act as your legal counsel and say that I may or may not have.
I may or may not have broken these things in the past, but it's too much of a pain to keep up with, and I would like to see Apple just open it up and say, okay, look, you can Bluetooth a mouse, and if they did that, the Surface I don't think would be as big of a deal. Because right now, the Surface is going to be the first tablet computer, That's how they're going to push it. That's how
Right.
they're going to market it as this first tablet computer, and it's like, well,
Well, and if I've got Microsoft Excel, that's going to be really attractive for using this device.
well,
If I
that's
can go into a meeting with Word and Excel and PowerPoint already running on a device, it may replace my laptop.
and that's one of the things that the guy at Best Buy told me. He said he's like, it comes with Office, which to which I was like, okay, because I use Google Docs all the time, but so that seemed like a step backwards for me. But I know that there's a bunch of corporate organizations that still use Office.
Right.
So this is a $600.
Yeah, they're standardized on this. So.
Yeah, so this is kind of a $600. Let's just call it I don't know the exact dollars, but let's just call it a $600 package that comes on Surface, which is going to obviously be there to sweeten the deal. I mean, they're really trying to.
Which is kind of funny since I can get a laptop running Windows 7 for what, $300-$400. We'll have to see how this shakes out.
Right, I think that's why they're throwing it in. I think that's exactly why they're throwing it in, because
Yes.
they want you to migrate to this device, or at least accept it. Maybe if not replace your desktop with it, they at least want it to be accepted by the market. So anyway, it's very interesting.
Now let's talk about this from the developer standpoint. I mean, Microsoft still has not opened up Windows 8 Surface to the developers at large.
Well, not to
They're
you,
only
not to you,
taking
and
select groups.
not to you and me.
Well,
but,
yeah, it's a very select group.
right. to the whoever their inner circle is, yeah, they've released that to them, but. Yeah, we won't.
Yeah, for the average indie developer, this is not an available product yet.
Yeah.
So, to me, I don't care.
Right.
Until until Microsoft wants to play nice with the developer, I don't think we're going to see the success of this device.
Well, because again, I think Microsoft it's a very corporate mindset. They have a lot of business clients. They've got a lot of business money. They don't necessarily want to rock the boat, and so they're not just going to throw this thing out there and let the market kind of the developers shape it. They're going to want to control that conversation, which is kind of what they've done all along with all of their stuff, which may lead to less than it may lead to a lackluster launch. I don't know who's going to get excited about it.
That's what I think. But Microsoft's got deep pockets. Eventually, it will get straightened out. We're going to have a.
Have you seen the
serious product here?
Have you seen the commercials for it? Have you seen the?
No, I haven't seen
the clicking one.
I've gone off. I'm offline now. I don't have Dish or DirecTV or cable. I'm going Netflix. I'm going. I'm watching it all through the internet.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. These commercials
so I don't
are
watch
on the
commercials anymore. So.
Well, these are.
Okay. Well, I still haven't seen them yet.
Yeah, they're so over the top. It's definitely awkward. where they're trying to make it cool. They're really trying real hard to make it cool. I don't think it's as cool as they.
I know exactly who their target market is, because
who's
there's
that?
a little sentence right here for the Surface with Windows 8 Pro, which, by the way, it's two totally different units. One has RT, which, just as a side note, the RT acronym does not officially stand for anything. I just had to bring that up. Sorry. So you can either have RT.
Well, and it's for the ARM devices. This is going on to the Android devices, or could be installed on the Android devices that are out there. Mm-hmm. That's what the RT is for.
They're forcing you to choose.
Replace them.
Exactly. I mean, they're forcing you literally to choose between, do I want the consumer model or do I want the business model? And that's what this little sentence that says, existing enterprise management infrastructure. This is every VP or VP wannabe in the company who says, ooh, I can get my company to buy this for me now. And I get a tablet from my company that has all of the PowerPoint, Outlook, SharePoint, Word, Excel. It's got all of that stuff built in. So now the VP gets the company to pay for something that he gets to claim is exactly what he needs. when we all know he really doesn't even use the desktop or laptop he already has. So it's going to basically sit, and he's carry it with him, and he'll have to ask his secretary or an IT guy to come show him how to click and do stuff with it. But he gets it. I mean, it's a status symbol. It's kind of like, which chair can you order from the accountant?
Very nice, very nice. And there we have it.
Yes. That's it.
The
I think Toff has summed it up perfectly. Though we do need to recognize this is still vaporware.
Till it's actually well they've got them in the Best Buys, they got them pre-order on the Best Buys. So
well, no, they have the pre-order for the RT, not the Pro, not for the enterprise management.
Oh no! This is how Microsoft does all of their launches. They basically inflict the pain on the consumers first, and then when they work out the bugs,
and get all the bugs worked out,
then the corporate environment gets it.
There you go. Well, we'll see how that works out then on the 26th, because that's when it's supposed to ship, and we'll see how people respond to it.
And I am very bitter. I have to say I'm very bitter that Microsoft has not sent me a test device.
Oh, there we go.
That's right. You can tell you can tell our review here is unbiased because we don't have test devices. Otherwise, we would be like, "This thing is great."
That's right.
It's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Full disclosure. There you go. We've been shunned. All right.
And we're still bitter about it.
And we're bitter. All right. So let's talk about. So there you go. I think that there you go. Apple open up the thing so we can add a mouse and recognize the fact that your iPad is a computer. I don't know if they would do that because, or at least, I don't think they want people to cannibalize their other sales, their laptop sales. But I don't know. It seems like a thing to do to me. So let's talk about
Isn't there an app for that?
Oh, there probably is. That would be cool. You actually can get an app that will mirror your desktop, and you can use your desktop your mouse with it, and then you can put that onto your iPad. So you could really...
Yeah, I use Air Display to extend my Macintosh, and I can move my mouse, and it goes onto my lost the power of speech here. Onto my iPad.
Yeah, that's what is that, Toff? Slaving.
Splashtop.
No, slaving the your tablet to the ship's computer.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's quarter share all over again.
That's a whole other geeky section that we'll have to talk about. All right, let's talk about Flurry before we got a few minutes here, but let's talk about analytics, app analytics for Corona. So last time when we talked with David Rangel, he talked about the fact that one of the biggest things that developers are missing is the implementation of analytics in their apps. And he also mentioned that that's really something that needs to be baked in from the beginning because it touches so many pieces of your app. Everything from the time that the app launches to events that happen all throughout the app. And so that got me to really thinking. I mean, I went out looking for information on this, and I didn't find any particular tutorials on the Corona site, but I did see in their documentation, I did see that they had example code. So, Toff, I don't think you're on the Flurry example, but if you go to resources, click on resources up there. And under that is all their stuff, and I think they have documentation underneath there. So we got a little bit of lag going on here, but yeah. So click on more, got documentation, and then when you go into there, click on analytics on the left-hand side there. So basically, you go to Corona site, click on resources, click on the documentation, and then when you go to analytics, it talks about implementing analytics using Flurry. Yep, and there's the Flurry example, which is where you started out. But this shows basically how easy it is to implement. Yeah, because click on the init there. If you click on the init, basically what you wind up with is these examples of how to implement it into your application. Now, the one thing that I recognized right away was um, there's only like 2 API calls. There's only like 2 things to do from a Corona side of things. You got to go out
Oh,
to.
it's simple.
It's almost
It is so simple to implement
it's
those.
almost
You
too
require it, you
simple.
initialize it. It's
Yeah, it's almost too simple because I just sat there and stared at it for a minute going, am I missing something? Is that where, you know?
It can't be this easy.
Well, just that. Not even that though. I was like, I almost was waiting for the shoe to drop that there was, something that I was missing. But
well,
yeah,
and Flurry is perfect for showing, did they click this button? Which button did they click? What scene did they get to in the game or the app? That's really what you're going to be using Flurry for, is to see how far the person got in the app. Did they get stuck someplace? Did they run out of money? What's running into the problem as to why they're not going forward? And that's where you're going to use your analytics.
yeah. Well, eh, well, okay, again, I now I've lost my power of speech. The thing
It's
is,
contagious.
it is. The thing is so simple. I mean, it's got you initialize, but you put your API key in there, which is the initialize part. And so you got to go to Flurry, you got to sign up for an account, and you got to get your API key. And you come back and you put it into your code under your under your initialization, and then from there, everything is just really a call or a logging of events. And so that event ID there is really just a string of text. Am I understanding that correctly? Am I missing something?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you're just passing it what happened. What did they click on? You're going to include it in the function for handling the button click and record that information. They clicked on button yes, or they killed the boss on level 3, and
well, that leads it,
forward that.
and that leaves it completely up to the developer to implement how they track things, which I thought was kind of
Right.
interesting and daunting all at the same time. Because
Yeah, this is something that, as you're getting deeper into after the publication, you may realize, gee, I really wish I knew if they were doing this one feature, and you may need to go back and add some more analytics to your app to be able to really capture everything. You're not going to get it perfect the first time, nor should you try and record every key click, because that would be absolutely overwhelming. But you are interested in seeing what's happening as they're going through using this app. Where are they getting stuck at? Are they continuing to use it?
well, I created a key. I created an account, got my key, and created. Basically, I used their sample app from the Corona sample, the Flurry sample code that Toff was on, and I went in and I basically tested this out because I was like, okay, how does this work? So I created. There's 3 events in the app, and which are just 3 buttons, and every time you click on a button, it logs an event. And so it was able to go through and log those events, and then it was also able to go through and show me statistics for particular events. So if I wanted to, I could see an entire user session, or I could go in and see events that things that happen for a particular event. So let's see if I can. I'm not well versed with this yet. So okay, yeah. So here on the event log, you can see on the day of the 17th, these particular events happened for that session. So we've got the session time here, the version of the device, and some details here. But this is the events themselves, and then you can drill down to any one of these events to see what happened. So if I wanted to see more details, I could. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and it almost kind of, I don't know, it seems like there's a gap there. It seems like there's an opportunity for someone to write a tutorial or some sort of maybe Brian, include this in your book about this part of it. This because again, like we talked about earlier, I don't know if we talked about this on the show or before the show, is that I think a lot of people are starting to ask questions about workflow. How should I structure things? How should I structure this? What tools should I use? As opposed to, the particulars of the API or the code. They want to know more about, what's the best way that I should implement my analytics, as opposed to how do I technically implement my analytics.
Yeah, the technical implementation is very easy. It's getting the information you want, because it's passed into legend that I designed a great app, but my users aren't using it the way I expected them to use it. And analytics will help you determine how are your users using the app that you created, and then better serve the market or the niche that you found.
Yeah, exactly.
What kind of reporting do they have? Did you notice anything about, like, statistics, like this percent of the population did A or B? I mean, do they have anything like for reporting?
I haven't dug into that part yet. There may be something there, but I haven't really seen it. I did see, like on this session, there's all these events that happened, and so if I wanted to click into, say, like event 3, so you're assuming that something's standardized, like when someone enters the event or when they hit the help screen or something like that. Yeah. So then when you click on that event, it'll take you into all the sessions where that event happened. So again, you can see, if this were the help screen, for example, you'd be able to see how many times per session does someone click on the help screen. Maybe they are confused about how this stuff works. So I didn't see anything. So here's by device. Here's number of sessions, percentage of sessions for each device. And granted, I set this up. I've got 2 devices here, an iPhone 4 and a 5, and a very, very rudimentary demo app. So I'm sure if you had a full-fledged, if we had a full-fledged example, it would probably be better. But let's view this report. Let's see what this says.
But yeah, I was thinking daunting is probably a good word, because at some point you go, okay, here's all my stuff, and I've got it recorded in the event log. Well, what happens when you have like thousands of people who bought your app? I can see that being kind of rough for the statistics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you can kind of go through and see what things are going on, but to be able to run a report, it may or may not. Hey, there's my app key. You may or may not be able to. Please don't use that. You may or may not be able to discern what you're looking for out of this. Let's see here. Okay, yeah, but there are some things here like usage, user retention, top versions, page views. So some things that are already built into it. I don't know. Again, we'll need to come up with an example that's a little more instructive, but
I'll get right on that.
Oh, good, thanks, good. So for the most part, that's the discussion I wanted to bring today. That's how easy it is to implement. Go out and go to Flurry, set up an account, get your your app key, plug it into your code, and then just start logging events. And I will say that the events don't show up right away. And when I say don't show up right away, I mean they take a very long time to show up. Chris, you're still showing us your screen there, by the way, just as an FYI.
Okay.
So
it's not a key code, is it?
No, hopefully not. No. Oh, and I'm still showing my screen. So yeah, they don't show up right away. It seems like they were almost like, I don't know, almost in the beginning it was almost 24 hours shifted. So I don't know. They say they run them several times a day, and that the stats should show up periodically, but there's no hard and fast rule that I've seen to say when you could expect to see your stats. So it is time delayed. All right, what else do we have? Is that it? I think that's it for today, right?
I think we're good.
All right. Well, that's good.
Well, next week.
Yes.
Next week.
What do we have next week?
Let's make our announcement.
Go ahead. Tell us what do we have.
Next week we've got Peach Palin.
All right.
Peach Palin will be visiting with us.
Very nice.
Our famous Corona guru from Down Under. And she's going to come in and talk about a variety of different things. And how she got started with Corona. And she's the darling of the Corona community. So we're excited to have her on.
Awesome. Yeah, that's going to be great. And so do be sure to join us back here next week, next Monday, 2 p.m. Central Time. Back here on Google+. And until then, you can leave us questions on facebook.com/coronageek, or you can do that here on Google+. And if you want us to ask Peach a particular question next week, go ahead and ask, and we'll try to pass that on to her. So you'll be a part of the show. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being with us. Anything else that we want to do before we get out of it? Go check out Brian's book over at burtonsmediagroup.com. And go back and watch some of the previous interviews that we've had with Walter Liu and David Rangel on youtube.com/coronageek. And until next time,
take it easy.
Bye.